Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Mystical Awakenings Radio here on KGRA. A big shout out to our producer, Bill Skywatcher, who makes us look good on this side of the tracks. Tonight's show was supposed to be my wife and I, Deb, talking about the new year and all the things that were going to happen and we're going to do this year. But she is not feeling well. This part of the country where I live, in upper middle northern Michigan, everybody's getting the crud up here. So anyway, we miss you, honey, and send her some lots of healing and love there. But we have a special guest tonight. So we're in for a treat. So tonight's guest is none other than Michael Carter. And you all know him from Ancient Aliens, but he's been on several TV shows. He is an author. He is a minister at a Unitarian church. He's a healer. And most of all, he is my friend. I talked to this gentleman 2 years ago, and ever since that, we've been brothers from another mother. And we talk a lot, and he does his homework. That's why I like to talk to him. But anyway, thank you, Melissa. So anyway, we have a special guest tonight, my friend, Michael Carter.
Hey, here we go.
Hey, doing
Happy New Year.
Yeah, for sure.
Happy New Year.
So yeah, get better, Deb.
Yeah.
It's just I don't know where you guys live, but I'll tell you what, this part of the country is just going bananas.
Yeah.
All the hospitals are full and everything. So, and we've talked about it before the show. The weather is just wacky. So,
it's a lot going on.
Yeah,
and I think it's going to continue to be. And right. I know we'll get into some of that, but yeah. You thought who was it? Someone said, my wife Dawn is reading a book about this woman who lives through some of the earth changes that we're going through. Florida goes underwater, the fires, stuff like that. I mean, it's prophetic. And there's a line in the book where she basically says, I kind of believed all this stuff would happen, but I didn't believe it would happen in my time.
Right. But you never know, right, Michael?
Yes. And so now we're going through this stuff. Fires in LA. We just had the hurricane here in our part of North Carolina. Yeah. Right before Thanksgiving, right around that time. And so, and there's just more, you got wars, you got rumors of wars. And so, the question becomes, how do you navigate this stuff? You and I talked about, you being in numerology, we're going into a 9-year.
Right.
Well, we're in a 9-year. 2025 is 9.
Transcending.
And it's completion. Yep. A lot of cycles being completed and wrapped up.
Yep.
So we'll see. But my God, we're just 9 days into it.
Right. The Navy supposedly had a map that showed those earth changes. And there was a lady, I think she's Native American. She wrote a couple books or several books, and then she talked about those earth changes and had a map it on. But it's weird. This area right here where I'm at, there's a mountain range that runs from a town south of here up 50 miles and then comes back down to the west of us. And it shows that this area is an island.
Yeah.
It's protected by the water, mountains, so.
And I know we want to end on a good note. We just started, so we're not going to do all doom and gloom. But remember, people may remember this. I'm showing my age, but there was a TV show on Fox called Sightings.
Yes.
And there was a gentleman by the name of George Michael Scallion, I think it is.
Yep.
You can probably still find a map. And he had this recurring dream every night for 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks. I mean, can you imagine having the same dream every night? And it was a dream of these earth changes. And so he made a map. I think you can Google the map.
Right.
And the earth, he said it was going to be around 2000. So, but, that was his guess. We're, 25 years past that. But he had in his dream, the East Coast of the United States did not start until where I live, which is the mountains here.
Right.
And
because the water can go that high. That's why.
Well, yeah, well,
Yeah.
yes, but Florida, New York, Baltimore, all the way up, that was gone.
Yep.
On the West Coast didn't start until New Mexico
Right.
because earthquakes and that. And yeah, where you were or are, the waters flooded from the Great Lakes and everything into the Mississippi.
Right.
So the central part of the continent was water.
Right.
And I mean, he had this dream.
Yeah.
And we're hearing now about New York City is sinking, Florida, I mean, and you go back to whether it's Edgar Casey or old Native American prophecies, you go back to Plato, we were mentioning about every 5,000 years,
Right.
there's some type of catastrophe
Yep.
that we could be living through. Either there's a pole shift, or there's a comet or asteroid, or there's something,
A volcano
and
exploding or
and
something.
you start over again.
Yeah.
There's some survivors, and then you start over again. So it's some interesting times that we are living in.
Well, I thought it'd be cool to live on an island, but I didn't want to be that that
Oh boy,
far
yeah, you
away
didn't
from
have to.
everybody.
Yeah, that's different.
Yeah. So how have you been? You been busy?
I've been busy, but you know what? I've been busy, brother. It was good to have a week off after church. Usually, after I have a Christmas Eve service, and then I don't go back to work until January 2nd. So yeah, but you know what? I'm finding it is taking me longer to get back in the groove again.
Right.
I'm like, oh God, I got to go back, and and my daughter's here, so it's nice. I'm there. I was at church today, and we're going to get some snow here,
Yeah.
and hopefully we'll have service Sunday. But I just this year I've been like, oh, I'll put it off till tomorrow. I'll put it off till tomorrow because it was nice just to have those days. But life has been kind, I mean,
Yeah.
compared to what's going on out
Everywhere else. Yeah.
west and
Yeah.
everything. Yeah, I'm living the dream.
Well, you was it a couple of weeks ago? You actually went to New York and filmed some more Ancient Alien
Yeah, yeah. Oh,
episodes.
yeah. I was telling you.
Yeah.
Um, you didn't notice, brother. I cut my hair.
I noticed it. I did. I wasn't going to
Relax
say
and
anything, but
on.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So anyway, yeah, and what was interesting about that is, yeah, I went out. I didn't have to fly out to L.A., and this was before. Who knew this was going to happen? And so I stayed in the same time zones, easier on the old body.
Right.
But we did 3 episodes. We did an episode on Enoch.
Oh, nice.
Always good to plumb that again. And then some New Testament kind of stuff about, images of birds and flight and that kind of thing. But they asked me about my experiences.
Nice.
And we talked about that. And usually you don't talk about that stuff on that show,
Right.
because it's, the format.
Yeah.
And so it's supposed to air in March. And we'll see now with what's going on in LA,
Right.
with the studios, we'll see what's happening.
Yeah.
But it's the 17th season, still season 17.
Right.
And so in March, they're going to air those 3 episodes. So I'm excited because they've never asked me about that. And the format is not about individuals, but I think they're going to do a show on experiencers. And
And
so that was good. That was
yeah.
good.
And you and I, along with my wife and Deb Caldwell and Mary, we've done about 50 episodes on the Voices of Contact, uh,
Yes.
and that's all about experiences. And I think that's coming out now. You had mentioned last year it was the year of the experience because
I
uh,
think it is.
yeah,
Well, not I think, I know it is, and we just affirm that. What I've been concerned about is I'm loving the hearings, even though for folks who like you and I and others, people you named and people viewing, we've known about we weren't alone and we tried to tell people, and now folks are just getting it. I'm
right.
a little
But this is a good
concerned.
thing.
No
That's a good thing.
question.
Yeah, that's a
No
good thing.
question. I'm keeping my eye open on the narrative. It's being co-opted by the government.
Yeah.
Now it's all if you're military intelligence, you know, they seem to be kind of taking the air out of the room, and they're controlling the narrative. So like everyday folks, you're like kind of pushed aside. And I just want to watch out for that. I don't know what can be done about it, but
Right.
it's getting to be that not unless you're military or military intelligence or in some type of governmental position, your story is privileged. And it seems like it could go that the only stories that are going to be taken seriously
Right.
are their stories.
Now, I've talked,
And
yeah, and I've talked to
don't
you
want
about
that.
this. I think there's two groups out there. One that wants us to know,
Mhm.
and one that their interest is not to let us know because it'll change everything. And we're
Yes.
talking about your money. The money will be affected.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. And,
yeah.
and, 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 and the way to get the money, obviously, is to say that there's a national security risk. Now,
Right.
want to be clear. I don't think all of these beings want to, hold hands and sing
Right.
kumbaya.
Right.
But,
Yeah.
okay. But so far, there hasn't been an overt attack or anything like that.
No.
And so I think we should take a wait and see. I know that if you're in the military or like if you're a cop or what have you, you're always thinking security. And I get that. But you don't want to react to something that hasn't been. I'm a civilian, right? When I read these stories about shutting down missile nuclear silos and what have you, I'm thinking they're saying, "Hey man, you're playing with fire.
Right.
It's a warning."
Yeah.
But other folks will look at that and say they're a threat.
That's
Now
right.
they haven't bombed you, they haven't turned the missiles around to bomb
No.
you or anything.
No.
But so it's just an interesting way to look at life.
Yes. Yes. And like I said, I think they we're more important to them alive than we are blowing each other up.
Well,
Uh,
at least the planet is.
yeah, I think so. Yeah. Uh, so I mean, if you buy into the fact that we probably came from there, we probably are part of that DNA structure, wherever somewhere else. But
Mhm.
um, yeah, so I still think there's a narrative out there about people wanting us to know and people that don't for obvious reasons. But I got a feeling that it's tilting towards the people that want us to know's way. I'm hoping, but there's no easy way to present it to people because of all the lies that were out there, all the money involved, all the some people are just not ready to hear it thing. You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
it's a very delicate situation. How do you do it? Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, for you and I, because that's our life. We talk about it, we look at it, but I think you and I would probably be shocked when we really find the truth. You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, we know a little bit, but because we delve into it, but I think you and I and people like us and the people that really think they know are going to be a little shocked too.
Yeah, well, I think we will, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't think there's much more to this story.
Yeah,
Now I'm not talking about the tech stuff, and I'm not. Yeah, that's okay, that's something else. But I'm
yeah,
talking about the history of Homo sapiens sapiens,
right,
how the religions got started,
right,
the lies that have been going on for 70 plus years. I don't
right,
think there's much more to that. I
right.
mean, they're there. And so you and I, have talked about what's a way to to move forward. And I know I talked to you about what they did in South Africa, the Truth and Reconciliation Committee.
Yeah,
Whereas you just start with a tabula rasa, you start with a clean slate. Yes, some people lost their lives. Yes, there was wrong done, but we can't bring that back. But if we say, hey, come forward, you're not, we're not going to take your pensions. We're not going to threaten your families. We're not going to do that. We're moving forward now.
yeah,
Come up. We're going to be truthful.
right.
That's the only way I see to move forward in a big way. Because again, you have whistleblowers, but you wouldn't need whistleblowers if there wasn't going to be any repercussions.
Right.
You know, I was listening to Brother Elizondo on YouTube, and he was talking about the remnants in the Pentagon, who a lot of these people are evangelical Christians, and they don't want this stuff to come out because they're demons.
Right.
End of story. And we don't want to be talking about that.
Right.
And then you have another contingent that says, we need to come clean about this. We need to be talking about this. And there's also other, I'm sure there are other factors. I've read where Chaim Machette has even come out and said that there were extraterrestrials who didn't want disclosure.
Right.
Not yet.
Right.
And then there was some who do. So, there's a lot of moving parts.
Yeah.
However, I think the basic setup is there. We've been lied to at the time. Maybe there was good reason. I think folks can handle it now. I get the hesitation. I think the hesitation is more too about religion.
Yeah.
Because, when you read these scriptures, and, these beings that had a hand in creating us, your next thought is there a God? What are you saying? Is there not? And so that starts a whole other, and people have used religion to control people.
Right.
I'm not anti-religious. I'm just saying, but it has been used to control. So
Yes.
if you come out and say we are not alone, and their writings that talk about these beings having a hand in us, now you are losing another mechanism of control when you come out with that. And you have to address those. Right now, we're just addressing tech and national security. But the next question, for me, being a clergy person, would be the first question.
Yeah.
But the next question is, what are we going to do with religion?
Well,
What does that look like? What does that
I
look
mean, there's information out there that the Pleiadians have been working with the Catholic Church, and I'm sure other religious people too, because
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's true or not. I've just read it from different
It's
sources.
true.
Yeah.
It's very true.
Yeah. So
I mean, working with, I don't know, but I
well,
know
how to
they've
do
been
that?
working with.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I hear you, but the Catholic Church, the Vatican has talked about this. In
Right.
2009, they had symposiums telling
Right.
people that, hey, don't be surprised that these stories are talking about off-world intelligence. I mean, they came out. Pope Benedict XVI, most conservative pope in my lifetime,
Right.
he's come out and said, he came out in 2009 and said, Yahweh is not the name of God.
Right.
Do not use it. I mean, and nobody said anything. I thought, oh my God, 400 years ago, they'd have cut your tongue.
Yeah, they would
And hung
have
you.
stormed the
And
Vatican.
he's saying this, yeah. And Pope Francis has jokingly talked about baptizing. Corrado Balducci, the late Vatican exorcist, said that these beings are real.
Yeah.
What's his name? The Jesuit, the Reverend Doctor, I forget his name, Fuentes. He's one of the Vatican astronomers. He's looking through that big telescope. He came out and said. So the Vatican has been putting it out there.
Right.
I was raised Protestant. I don't know outside of Barry Downing when he started in 1968, and I kind of walk in his footsteps. I don't know of any Protestant clergy or denominations that are saying, "Hey, have you looked at this phenomenon and the effect it may have had on a religion?" No one said anything.
So let me ask you, if this just came out all of a sudden tomorrow, how do you think that somebody that doesn't have a clue is going to react? What do you think is going to happen to all these?
I think there are going to be people who are going to flip out, but they're always going to be that. There are 8 billion people on the planet. And I go back to the Star Trek thing. The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few.
Right.
And so there may be some people who are going to jump off a bridge. There may be some, and I'm not trying to be cruel, but, we're talking about humankind growing up here. And, I don't know what the latest numbers are, but at least in our country, at least half, people believe that we're not alone.
Right. Right.
This is not the big to-do that we may think it's going to be, especially since Hollywood and government. I mean, they've been spoon feeding us this through sci-fi and
Right,
this
right,
kind of thing. So we've been being prepared.
right.
But and there will be people who can't handle it, and that's okay too. We'll find a way. But you can't just keep it under wraps because some people may not be able to handle it.
Exactly.
You
Yeah,
know?
because I mean, it's happening. Let's face it. It's been happening. I mean, like you talked at the conferences. Disclosures already
Yeah.
happened.
I was on Facebook, and even though I'm trying to cut back on that, and somebody wrote on their page the invasion happened in December. I was like, I don't respond because I don't
Right,
get
right. I
into those
don't
kind.
either. I read, but I don't.
But read your Bible. Read the Epic of Gilgamesh. The invasion started 20,000 years ago.
Or maybe 450,000 years ago.
The invasion didn't start in December.
Right,
These beings have been here and always been here.
right,
And I
right.
think that's the narrative that people need to hear, that you can still keep your faith tradition, especially if it's in the monotheistic religions. If you want, I'm talking about Islam, Christianity, Judaism, you can still hold that faith and still believe in the existence of non-human intelligence.
Exactly.
They're not mutually exclusive.
Yeah.
You'd have to tweak some things and look at some things. So, and when I talk to people, people of faith, people who are, that's the first thing they say. They say, Reverend Carter, can I still be a faithful human being and believe in this? And I say, hell yes, you can.
Yes. Yes. I mean, just your
Our
book,
ancestors did.
right. Your books alone talk about that, and
Yeah.
uh,
So,
yeah. So I mean, it was even more. I think, in my opinion, it was more wide open back. 2,000-3,000 years ago, 4,000 years ago. I mean, it was more open
yeah,
than
yeah,
is
yeah.
common day knowledge.
Well,
But
no,
somehow, somewhere
I
along the
agree.
line, you got
No,
squashed.
no. It got, well, we talked about that,
Yeah.
and people can read the books, but the difference between the Mesopotamian text and, Babylon, Assyrian, they don't monotheize. They
Right.
don't talk about a god. They just said, "Hey, man, these Anunnaki, that's what we call them. They came down here.
Right.
They didn't talk about a god, just one god that we all have to worship. They didn't go there.
Right.
They just said, "Hey, yo, we are sharing the planet with these folk." Okay, when Judaism, early primitive Judaism, talking 5th, 6th century BCE, when they started to monotheize, to edit, when they edited the Bible, it wasn't because of grammar, it was for theology. And we want one God, that God is Yahweh, one high priest, one temple in Jerusalem, this whole pyramid thing. Why? Because it's easier to govern that way.
Well, I know it didn't go so well for one pharaoh in Egypt a long time
Yeah,
ago, right? What was
Akhenaten.
Akhenaten? Yeah,
Yeah. So,
he or
so
she,
yeah. So,
or
and people can just read up and study on this stuff.
right,
But no, these beings were already here. And they started, some of them started our banking systems, plants, what plants were good. They started civilization. They
right,
helped us jumpstart civilization.
right,
Some of them, wanted us as slaves, right? We know that.
yes.
You read
I think that
Genesis.
was original plan. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
at
to
least
work
for the
for them.
Anunnaki, for
Yeah,
us to help mine the gold, that kind of
yeah,
thing.
yeah,
So and the Bible's full of those stories of both kinds of individuals.
right,
So the invasion, yes, and I think that's RJ. I think that's the word. I mean, you could say there was an intervention in our development. You could say that. I call it an invasion because that's what it was.
yeah,
That's what it was. These beings came down, they carved up the earth. The Hindu gods were in India, and they were the blue people, and it was Vishnu and all those. We got Yahweh, and we had Michael and Raphael and all these people here. Native American folks, talk about the sky people and the Cherokee, the Pleiadians. I mean, every civilization talks about these beings coming down, and some were helpful and some weren't. But this is, it's like a baby. It's like waking up, because this stuff sounds like science fiction. It sounds unbelievable, and everything that we've been taught we've been lied to or tweaked.
Right.
It's been tweaked.
Yeah, we've also talked about the fact that my skin, your skin, they were made to let people know who they belong to, right?
Yeah.
We did, yeah. I mean, these are my people. These are my people, and from the gods, whatever,
Yeah, yeah, and they don't look at,
Yeah,
it's like even without the extraterrestrial thing. Well, I just saw Gladiator 2. It was okay. There were great performances. Denzel was great,
right,
and
right, right.
he usually is, and what have you.
Yeah,
But you had to remember that they didn't look at race the same way we look at race today.
no,
So they didn't have the hang-ups that we had. Now
exactly,
that happened later,
right,
but most of these intelligences don't look at race the same way. They acknowledge that there's a difference, but they're not hung up over it. They're not
yeah,
hung up over that. At
right,
least they
and
don't. In my experience, they don't seem to be. And when you see, when you talk to people and they say, "Well, I was on a ship," or "I was regressed," and there was a gray with a Nordic, or there was a praying mantis with a reptile. They seem
right,
to work together. Some of them. They don't seem to be
right,
hung up on that. So
right,
you know,
and that's just higher intelligence, I guess. So, uh, so we talked about the drones. It's kind of old news, like you said earlier today, but
yeah,
uh,
but we didn't really. Yeah,
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 well, I'd like to
yeah.
get into that a little bit. What do you think's going on there?
I see. I don't believe that. Obviously, that the government doesn't know what it is.
Right.
Yeah, it could be to see how we're going to react. But I think that enough eyewitness testimony that they didn't look like drones that anybody else saw. I don't know. There was a guy in New Jersey who sent his drone up
Yeah.
to where, and it just dropped down out of the sky.
Yeah.
Um, I think that they are probes in the sense of, because they were going to the US, the military installations.
Right.
There's
Right.
this, again, it's not an obsession, but it's a concern that, because I think that we are closer to nuclear war than we've ever been,
Yeah.
but closer than the Cuban Missile Crisis. I think and so again, we had talked about after Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the increase in sightings. But again, it's like having a neighbor down the street playing with matches. And I think when you split the atom, it reverberates not only in our dimension, but in other dimensions. It's
So
just not a good thing to do.
it's
And I
not a good
think
thing.
we woke up some neighbors and they're
Yeah.
concerned.
Well, I keep harping on this and going back to this. The people that want us to know, people that don't, and the people that don't, you know, they'll go to a very wild extremes, whether it be a nuclear war, to protect their assets, their money, their power, their whatever it is. And I don't think these people will have any morals at all, and they will do anything to not let you people like us become equal. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, yeah, especially if you have the money, you can fly to another planet
Right.
with Bezos or Musk or whoever, or you can,
Yeah.
you got an underground bunker or whatever. It's everybody for themselves. And and if you're not in that club, then you're just not in that club.
Because
Um, yeah,
yeah, because if there are little devices that run your home's free energy, if there's actually machines that will make food and you don't have to, you're talking about a whole different lifestyle and a whole different thing. But there goes the money, and jobs will change. I mean, we won't need trees to make houses. We won't need, so we have 3D printers that'll make a house already. So what I'm saying is, it's a big change, and the handful of people that have the money, I think they, and I know I'm talking, some people that talk about this shouldn't, but I'm just saying, uh, I think they will go to any extreme uh, to not let this happen. So I don't,
Well,
that's
yeah, yeah. I mean, and this is clear. Again, and you're exactly right. I mean, if what would happen to British Petroleum or
right,
Exxon or any of
right.
these places when they find out, well, we don't need that?
No,
What would happen to cancer research or all the money that's supposed to be going to these things if they could say we could fix all this for you? You don't need all that stuff.
right,
Well, you're
right,
taking money out of people's pockets.
right. And you're taking
And
money out of
so
everyday people's pockets.
well, you're taking money out of their pockets.
Yeah, that's true.
And so that's you could listen, if Jesus came back and started healing people of cancer and telling people, he would be arrested for practicing medicine without a license. You have to get rid of this kind of stuff.
Same thing would happen, right? Yeah, yeah,
And so it's a lot it's in a lot of people's vested interest to keep things the way they are. No
yeah,
change. Why would I want to change? I'm making money. I'm getting rich. These people are troublemakers, you know, and
yeah,
we don't want anybody trying to come, and I don't want to be egalitarian. I don't want to talk about health care for everybody. I don't want to talk about that.
right, right,
I don't want to talk about me. I don't. That's not what we're talking about.
right,
And so there's a lot of vested interest in keeping things in the status quo.
right. Yeah, somebody said there'd be more time for love, growth, joy, and care for each other. It, it might not be that way in the beginning. I mean, it's going to be an adjustment, but you're right. That would be the ultimate goal. So, I mean, let's face it. Any way you're going to put this disclosure down, there's going to be a little chaos, and there's going to be. It's not like you
Yeah.
say always kumbaya, and it's it's going to be an adjustment. And how do you do it?
Well, yeah, you're right. You're right. And listening to Elizondo, he was saying disclosure is not a marathon.
No,
I mean, it's not a sprint. It's a marathon.
yeah, yeah,
So it'll be a while. We're just little by little.
yeah.
But of course, I argue that we're already in disclosure. So
Right, right.
you know,
Yeah, you make some good
I
arguments
I,
for it.
I think Michael thinks. I
Yeah,
know Steve Bassett would be different or what, but I think we're already in disclosure. I mean, they're pretty much telling you that we're not alone.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. It's just not the way you think. I think people want the president or someone to come out on the lawn and say, and I don't know if that's going to happen.
no.
It
They
may not
talked.
happen that way.
Yeah, they talked about if some of the extraterrestrials come forth. They might have these things like the World Fairs. You can go to the big cities and you can meet them and, and talk to them and I mean I don't see that happening, but
No, I doubt that
or
very
maybe,
much.
maybe
But
maybe they'll come on TV or something. I don't know.
but we'll see.
Yeah,
It's in the meantime, there's plenty of stuff to deal with.
right, right.
With what's going on with the climate and just social stuff. Distance between the haves and the have-nots, food
Exactly.
prices, gas prices.
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch of stuff that's going on at the same time.
Yeah, we
And
got a lot of
so,
things to fix and to worry about besides, just
well, they're all intertwined.
right.
But if you're dealing with one, you're dealing with because I know there's so many people in the UFO world, the community. They always talk about I'm not into politics. I'm into politics, but of course you're into politics because this phenomenon is about politics. You
Right.
got the geopolitics and you got exopolitics.
Yeah.
And if you don't think you're into politics, you know,
You're
I
affected
got
by it.
a I
Well,
got a bridge
yeah.
for sale. Of course it's
Yeah.
politics. Of
Yeah.
course it's politics. It's always been involved with
Right.
politics. When
Right.
people keep secrets, that's politics. When people when extraterrestrials have your hands in their governments, not just ours, but that's politics.
Right.
And you got the regular geopolitics between us and China and Ukraine and whatever's going to be happening in Europe. You
Right.
got that intertwined with exopolitics. what leaders are speaking to these beings behind our back? What are they saying? Who's representing us? It's
Right.
politics.
Right.
Wake up, guys. You're
Yeah.
into politics, whether you want to be or not.
Yeah. You can't look the other way because it's going to affect you.
No, it's exopolitics is geopolitics and vice versa.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I mean, I truly believe some of our politicians, quote, don't really know what's going on. Military does. A lot of people in the military don't. It's so compartmentalized, that the people, they make it that way. So, you don't know the full story. But I think our government is wanting to know now. That's why these having these, these get-togethers with the people, because they can't hide from it anymore. They know something's going on, and they want to know what's going on. They just got to get, they got to get some right people. They got to get some good people in there, right people, and who aren't afraid.
Well, you have to go on, Arjay. I'm sorry.
Just that they're not afraid to say anything anymore because.
Yeah, because you have to remember, United States there are other countries much more open about this.
Yeah.
United States is the one, and maybe we have to because of what we've been doing. But United States is the most closed mouth about this.
Yeah.
Other countries are a little more open.
Yeah.
And so, and we can get in that bubble where we think everybody's like the United States, but Argentina, South America, they're much more open about this. Mexico, China, they're much more open about this.
Yeah.
We're the ones that are really kind of like shh, shh, shh. And so we got to remember that other people are much more, other nations are much more open about it than we are. I'm not saying they're coming out and saying come to my house and shake hands with, but they've acknowledged this.
Yes.
We haven't.
Yeah, it's been a struggle here for sure. A lot of secrecy, whatever it is. I mean, we're the experiencers are the ones that are going to wake this thing up. I agree.
Well, I think we would have, but I think the government is taking that over.
Yeah,
I really do. I mean, I love the whistleblowers. Don't get me wrong. I tip my hat. I mean, they're risking everything,
right.
Families, everything.
Yeah.
I'm just seeing though that it's so heavily military intelligence. It's Grush. I'm not saying they shouldn't be there. I want to be clear. I'm just saying that what happened to other voices? They're shut down.
Right.
It's almost as if you are not, if you're not Gary Nolan, if you're not, they're talking about, Jacques Vallée and all these folk love it. But they're everyday people who've been knowing this before you guys, well, maybe not before, and have been out and have been talking and have shared things, and those voices are being squelched.
Right.
And it's getting to like, if you're not in the military, then you really, okay, you had an experience, okay. But we have the science here.
Nobody's going to believe me anyway.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to watch that going forward.
Right. Well, what do you got coming up, man? What do you got going on this year?
Well, I hope to see you in September.
You will.
I'm hoping this will happen in March. The Ancient Aliens, those 3 episodes we did, they were fun.
Right.
And I'm just kind of like most people, I'm just trying to wait and see. I'm going on with my life. I got to get up and got the church to run, and I don't run it. The board runs it, but I'm the leader there as far as worship and.
Right, you're a very busy man there.
Yeah, and just trying to spend time. My daughter's, here from college. She goes back in about 10 days, and she's going back there, and so I'm trying to. Take life as it comes, and reading and studying, and the usual, doing my meditation, and just trying to live, and there's a lot of I don't know what the word. There's a lot of anxiety and nervousness about where we're going politically and that kind of thing, and I'm just determined not to to lose my peace over that, and
Right.
no matter what happens,
We'll get through it.
I'm just going to navigate it.
Yeah, we'll get through it.
And this is what you have to do.
Yeah.
And so I'm just looking forward to the year, and seeing what transpires.
Well, I know you had a new book come out, what, last year?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I got it right here. It's a book of
Yeah,
sermons. It's non UFO
right.
related,
That must have
and
been fun to do.
yeah. Oh, it was fun. And you know what? I was lazy after I heard it 3 or 4 times, and because I said to creation when I was meditating, I said, look, if you want me to do this, you got to get me an editor. Because I didn't have an editor for some of my books, and some of them looked like it, but the information was there, and some of them, I'm proud of them, but it's nothing like having someone edit and publish your book.
Right.
And I said to the universe, I said, hey, if you want this to happen, which was a cop out, it's not about them, it's about me doing.
Right.
But, and there was a guy in my church who does this for a living.
Oh, wow.
He's an editor for a living. So I couldn't keep putting it off. So yeah, it's called Enlightenment. It's in hardcover and paperback.
Right.
And thank you for doing that. And yeah, it's a book of sermons, and they're on philosophy, social justice, religion. Those are the topics that I'm picking to riff on. Race, and I'm proud of it. It's the only book, my first book I have in hardcover. And
Yeah, I got a book I'm supposed to be finishing too, but I find trying to find a program where I can speak it and it writes it out. Do you do
like
that?
like an AI. No, I don't have that.
You write it out like I do, yeah, but
Yeah, I type it.
yeah, but I
I
channel a
type.
lot of stuff, and I can't even hardly read the stuff that I wrote down. So
Oh yeah, yeah. Especially if you're handwriting it,
yeah,
like automatic writing.
yeah.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
but
yeah,
anyway, it's I got to get that done too myself. But
yeah.
well, listen,
So
we've got what we got to. I tell our audience we've got to shut down a little early tonight. I think it was what. Oh no,
you
it
said
was
10 of 8. It's
okay. Yeah, we
it's
got some
seven
time.
43. We got about 8 minutes.
Okay, cool.
So why
So
don't you tell the folks what you're doing?
well, I mean, you and
I
I
mean,
talked.
that's what your show is going to be about tonight.
Yeah, well, we've got Deb's got a couple things she's putting on another retreat at the lakeside where we put on the UFO con in April. She was doing another pot of grass for Pooch's thing, paranormal thing for raise money for animals. So I think your wife would like that. And we've got a retreat we're putting on in May, or excuse me, the end of May. Up in the UP is we're going to do some C5 work and some Bigfoot expedition and some ghost hunting and drumming and all this. A friend of mine owns a resort up there. It's going to be cool on the big lake.
Is that in the spring?
Yeah, that's the last weekend in May, not the weekend after Memorial Week.
Okay,
So,
yeah. So it'll be nice and toasty, hopefully.
well, hopefully. It gets cold up there at night, so dress warm if you're going to go. And then, of course, the UFO conference, which it comes here so quickly.
I
And
know.
we will see you there.
Yep.
So, yeah, you can check that retreat out on our site, Mystical Awakenings, if you want to look at that. And you can call up there to reserve your cabin. It's really cool. Anyway, that's what we're doing. And then, of course, talking to you 4 or 5 times out of the week is a highlight of my life. And
Hey, I have a good time. I'm glad we had the time too. I mean, it was easier to get in touch with you because I didn't have to be at the church.
right.
And don't get me wrong, I love it, and I think I'm doing a good job there. But yeah,
You're more busy now. Yeah.
especially when people get sick, I got to visit and
Yeah.
that kind of thing. So it was just, and now I'm just trying. I know we got 5 minutes. Just trying to get back into the groove. I mean, I've been out there. I was out there to this morning. But I got to get my mindset. The holidays are over. Just get up and go. Now, we're supposed to have a snowstorm here tonight. Now, what is a storm? When I was living in New York, you just navigated. We're supposed to get maybe 3, 4, 5 inches of snow, maybe 3 or 4 inches that starts tomorrow and goes right into Saturday. But even when the snow stops, we've got temperatures don't get past freezing. So I'm hoping to have service this Sunday. We shall see.
Well, yeah, I mean, you guys don't get a lot of snow down there, I don't think, right?
We used to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because remember, I know, because we're in the South,
Yeah,
but we're in the
it blows my
mountains.
mind.
We're in the mountains. We're not deep South like Mississippi or Alabama that got snow the other day, or
Wow.
Florida. So we really, we get it, but we just didn't get it because of the climate's been changing. Usually we get, like, it was 15 degrees this morning when I got up. Usually we don't get those temps until the end of January, the beginning, middle of February. We got them now. 15 degrees this morning. The high didn't get past freezing. So I went grocery shopping. Nobody cares. I'm just going through my day. And I forgot to pick up some stuff. I'll do it tomorrow. But you would thought you thought COVID had come back. Eggs gone, soup gone, toilet paper. I mean, when
Right.
people get ready.
Right.
So, everyday life. And these are the things you got to focus on too. We talk about UFOs and,
Yeah.
spirituality and this, but then you got to pay your bills. You got to get
Yeah.
up in the morning.
Yeah.
Life,
Just
life
ordinary
is
folks.
interesting.
Yeah, we're already
Yeah, just
ordinary folks.
everyday life is what it's all about.
So, Matrix Break, you can just look up Truth Seekers Retreat on the Mystical Awakenings Facebook page. So, and it'll tell you all the information, and give you the numbers. If not, just get a hold of Deb and I on Facebook, and we'll explain it to you. But we only got a couple of minutes here, so I can't go into that right now.
Yeah, you got 2 minutes.
Yeah. So, listen, I want to thank you for filling in tonight, because it's a pleasure always to talk to you.
Always time well spent, brother. Please give a hug to Deb and just to get well soon.
Yeah.
I think I still have her information. Maybe I'll send her some energy when we hang up.
Okay. And
And I'm gonna go watch Notre Dame and
yeah.
Penn State and just spend some time because I'm off on Fridays, and we don't. I'm not going
Oh,
to
are you?
work tomorrow.
That's cool.
Yeah, I switched because
Okay.
it was just too much. So I'm
Yes.
off on Fridays.
Yeah.
That's
Give
my day off.
give the wife and daughter hugs, and
Yeah, and wishing everybody a happy new year. Thanks for taking an hour out of your busy schedule, gang. Stay warm. Don't get afraid of nothing. You know,
we're gonna do this.
everything will be fine.
Yeah.
We'll have some rough spots. Live your life. Don't let them take away your joy.
Yes. So yeah,
Okay.
thank you everybody for listening tonight. We missed you, Deb, but you'll be back, I think, next week, I'm sure, and we will talk about the new year and get into that thing more about the retreat. So until we meet again, may all your awakenings be mystical, and we will talk again. Thank you so much. Good night,
All right.
everybody.
Good night, brother.